Edge radio broadcast staff. More information can be found on the Edge's homepage. Just look for the link "We are looking for Edge correspondents" just under the main media player at www.theedgeam.com. Please note that the role of correspondent is not guaranteed, and it also depends on your willingness to communicate with a wide variety of people who have varied experiences and beliefs, which may not be similar to your own experiences and beliefs. As a correspondent, you will be an essential element in the Edge broadcast search for truth. Just click "We are looking for Edge correspondents" just under the main media player on the Edge's homepage at www.theedgeam.com.
Hello everybody, this is Daniel Ott, host of the Edge radio broadcast. You know what's making this show such a success is people like you, our loyal listeners. Tell a friend about the show. Call or email your local radio stations and tell them about the show. Let your local radio stations know that The Edge is a free broadcast with some of the most important interviews of our time. Micro broadcasters to giant radio stations can all broadcast The Edge for free. Tell them to upgrade their program lineup and get The Edge on the air in your area. I'm Daniel Ott, discovering the truth together on The Edge radio broadcast.
Fact or fiction, discovering the truth together, here on the Edge radio broadcast.
Welcome back, I'm Andy Radford, the Edge's Thursday host from the Edge's UK studio. Another way you can get involved with the Thursday show is by submitting material to us, and on the home page under the Edge's main media player you will see the link "Play Your Audio." Here you can send us some written copy, prose or a song, or of course your recorded report. It doesn't have to be an audio. We will read your material out on air on the Edge radio broadcast Thursday show. And of course there's the new Edgepedia. Here you can read information submitted by our correspondents and our website users and listeners. You can even add your own comments. We are attempting to build a vast database on all the subjects the Edge radio broadcast covers, so any help from you, the listener, would be much appreciated. You can also make a difference by going to the Edge's action page at www.theedgeam.com/Edge Action. If you've got a pressing news story, just go to the Edge's news page and click the link News Hotline. Coming up later, Gina Romano and her guest, and we also have some information on bovine somatotrophin. But here is Edge correspondent Frank Lordi.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Edge Thursday broadcast. My name is Frank Lordi, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about weather modification and weather warfare. To most quote-unquote sane people, the idea that man can somehow control or dominate Mother Nature, well, it's an irrational thought, and it's just more conspiracy theory. But as I'm going to explain to you today, and Andy I'm sure will post the reference material for this up on the site so you can check it out. So I guess the first place to logically begin here would be with the United Nations. In 1977, they held an environmental modification convention, and they deem weather modification as weather tampering. And as of December 10th, 1976, the United Nations basically deemed this an illegal and hostile act. The United Nations General Assembly Resolution 31/72 TIAS 9614 Convention dealt with the prohibition of military or any other hostile use of environmental modification techniques. The resolution was signed in Geneva on May 18, 1977, and it became international law officially on October 5, 1978, and it was then ratified in the United States on December 13, 1979. Then in 2005, there was a U.S. Senate bill, number 517, and a House bill, number 2995, and they, had they been passed, would have made it legal, thus negating the earlier UN resolution that we had signed on with. It would have made it legal for the U.S. government to experiment on weather modification by artificial methods. And you can find this information with links and citations right on wikipedia.org. Just go to Wikipedia and type in weather control. As we've seen with this administration and a few administrations prior to it, the U.S. government really couldn't care less about whether or not things are legal. Whether they want to spy on you and read your email, or they want to sterilize certain subgroups or subclasses of United States citizens, they don't care. They will do as they please. And I firmly believe that in public these were shot down only as a means of disinformation. Remember, we had a Donald Rumsfeld endorsed and created disinformation program, which is actually still running but under a different name. Now, we've had the ability to modify the weather going back as far as the Vietnam War. There was an operation entitled Popeye, which we seeded clouds over rice paddies to cause flooding. That would then force the Viet Cong out of hiding, and then we could drop bombs on them or shoot them or blow them up or whatever it was that we wanted to do. Napalm them, you know, whatever. I've got several articles in the source material here dealing with China and weather modification. The first and the only one that I will read to you is from the Los Angeles Times. This is entitled, "China Plans to Halt Rain for Beijing Olympics. Weather modification team will manipulate the clouds in summer to try to keep the open-air stadium dry. Beijing. It is yet another attempt by man to triumph over nature. Determined not to let anything spoil their party, organizers of the 2008 Summer Olympics said Wednesday that they will take control over the most unpredictable element of all, the weather. While China's Olympic athletes are getting ready to compete on the fields, its meteorologists are working the skies, attempting the difficult feat of making sure it doesn't rain on the August 8th opening ceremonies. Our team is trained. Our preparations are complete," declared Wang Jinji, a spokeswoman for the Beijing Meteorological Bureau, addressing a news conference at the headquarters of the Beijing Organizing Committee. The Chinese are among the world's leaders in what is called weather modification, but they have more experience creating rain than preventing it. In fact, the techniques are virtually the same. So keep that in mind as I go on in a little bit here. That the technique for causing rain is nearly the same as halting it. Now, in these articles, the Chinese are pictured launching rockets and shells into the sky, and these are full of chemicals that then interact in the atmosphere and force moisture out of the clouds. In essence, what the stories are telling us is that China is going to create dry weather by artificially forcing all of the